2 5-star books in 1 month. March delivered. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is the little itty mass market version. I got this as like a birthday gift or Valentine's gift from my husband. I was very scared going into this book. I didn't know what to expect. This was going to be like my first kind of epic fantasy. And let me tell you, it wasn't until about 70% where it grabbed my attention. Unfortunately, I don't know if epic fantasy is going to be for me, but the last 70% I really enjoyed, and it really kind of grabbed me. And I'm hearing that book 2 could possibly be better than book 1. So it grabbed me just enough that I will continue with the series. I'm probably actually going to invest in the not mass market versions of this series because of the way that book 1 ended, and kind of going into book 2, I'm really curious how all of that's going to play out. So I definitely want to continue at least book 2 of this series. But it was a good time. In order to get through something so tough like this, like I already mentally knew that this was going to be tough for me, but then like this book was big and it was thick, but it was small, and the words were teeny tiny. I actually just got it for my Kindle so that I could speed through it, and I also paired it with Spotify and the audiobook. So I had all the help that I could get to finish this. You know, I was putting my whole Badussi in this book, okay? We did it. We got it done. I'm actually really proud because, again, I was super intimidated, so I'm really proud that I got it done. The magic system was actually genuinely cool, and if you have like a gamer boyfriend or gamer friend or gamer husband and they're playing Crimson Desert right now, there were a lot of correlation between that game and this game while I was reading. It was actually wild when I saw him playing the character. I was like, oh my gosh, my character does that in my book and they do this, and it was really fun to talk about. So I'm glad that I read it when I read it. I did rate Mistborn 3.5 out of 5, and I know that's probably a lot lower than like the average rating. However, I just don't know if I'm the audience for this book. He actually did a phenomenal job writing it, and the story was well thought out and everything just flowed really nicely. So there were no complaints about that. I'm not the target audience for this book, unfortunately. And there was no spice in this book. None whatsoever. The next book that I read was Savor It by Tarah DeWitt. This book I rated a 4 out of 5 stars and a 3 out of 5 for spice. I only read this book because I wanted to read book 2 that was kind of highly talked about on booktube. I wanted to go back into the series and start with book 1, and I'm really glad that I did because I really got a good feel for Tarah DeWitt and her writing, and I did really like this couple a lot, and it made me even more excited to read book 2. I think it's called Left of Forever. It is also interconnected, so some of the people that you meet in this story will be in book 2. This book was a really easy read. It was nice and short. I did enjoy it in paperback. It was really an enjoyable read, and it went by pretty quick. I think they did small town romance just right. I'm pretty sure I read it all in one day too. It was a nice like comfort read without being too boring. And then during the month of March, we were granted access to an advanced reader copy of First and Forever by Lynn Painter. I am still so forever grateful for having the opportunity to read that book early. This is gonna be like a top for me. I did rate it 3.5 out of 5 for spice, but it was not really what I had expected. I think that I might like the Lynn Painter YA books a little more, but this book was giving like Wes and Liz, but like all grown up. So I did appreciate that. It was cute and it was easy, and like it did its job. You know, it's not anything that was supposed to be really crazy serious. There were a few like sensitive topics in there. Not like trigger warnings, but like just make sure you know what you're going into when you're gonna read this book. It was a solid palate cleanser, that's for sure. And it is a top. Like I would recommend it to people to read. I read a lot of contemporary romance comfort reads, and that did that for me. I did give it like a 1.5 out of 5 for spice, though. There wasn't a whole lot going on. I like the way that the characters met. I kind of liked how they were forced to spend some time together, and I really did enjoy how the relationship blossomed. The book is very dialogue heavy, and I think that's kind of what took me out of it. Obviously, I'm a fantasy girly, so I really enjoy my like world building and my inner monologues and just like the storytelling. And I get that I'm not going to get that from a Lynn Painter book, but it still did feel a little heavy on the dialogue sometimes. Overall, it was just like a feel-good sports romance. I just wanted more from the MMC. I think like more knowing about his life, his backstory. And I think that if we could have got more from the MMC, it probably would have bumped up to a 4 for me. A book that I finally read that's been on my TBR for so long is Archer's Voice by Sheridan. This was a really popular book in like 2024, and I kind of caught it. It got onto my TBR like the tail end of 2024, and so we finally read it in 2026, and it was a very interesting story. The author did a really good job writing it. I loved the concept of the characters. I loved reading about like not your average character. This one was so different compared to some of the other books that I've read. The characters were just really unique, and you have to trust me in that, and you should read it. You should definitely read this book. It is an interconnected series. This is book 1, and I was a little intrigued by the characters that were going to be in book 2 and book 3, I believe, but I am not opting into continuing this series. But for now, this was a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a top. It was completely worth my time. It was really tough to read. The story had a major twist at the end. It was really wild the way that they wrote it. I wasn't prepared for the ending, and I'm still recovering from the ending. That kind of plays into why I'm not finishing the series. But it was definitely a slow burn, so make sure you know that. I did give this a 4 out of 5 for spice. Even though there were really unique characters, the spice was serving. We got a plate full of spice, so don't worry about that. If you're looking for something, this is it. Moving on, we had The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is actually book 2 of the series. There was a novella in between book 1 and book 2, and I did read that as well. Glad that I did, because it was a 5-star novella, I believe. And it did call out to a character that showed up in this book as well. The Wicked King is a continuation of the first story where we had the Cruel Prince. I think you can gather from the title what happened with the Cruel Prince, but this was actually full of betrayal, and I was super upset by the way that this ended. It was an ultimate cliffhanger, and I like couldn't believe what I read. I did rate this higher than the Cruel Prince, so I do suggest if you're gonna read the series that you stick it out and you move through the series, because like I said, the novella was really great, and I rated this higher. Jude is just that girl. Like, she is doing so much for everyone that she kind of forgets about herself. And then at the end, it blows up in her face, and we're like, oh. And I'm so not happy with the way that it ended that I like had to immediately start book 3. I didn't like read it, but there's an excerpt in this book for book 3 called The Queen of Nothing, and that gives me so much anxiety. I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars, so that would make it a top. And I think I gave it like a 2 out of 5 for spice. It is a YA, so there is no spice, but there is some tension, and there is some other things that happen in this book, so just go into it knowing that. The book that I want to talk about for March was actually pretty good, and it was called Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. This series is actually pretty hyped up right now because there was a big release just recently. The size of the series is kind of intimidating. There's a lot of books in this series, but this book was interesting enough that I do want to go into book 2 about it, because I see a lot of talk on the internet about a character that we have only really scraped the surface of right now, and so I need to see what is going on and what all the hype is about this character. I need to learn more, so I'm going to continue in book 2. I did rate Shatter Me a 3-star though. Now, don't come for me. That would technically rank it as a flop in my rating scale. But like I said, it was interesting enough to read. It was just like a fast YA read. The story was interesting, but I needed more. It was definitely like giving X-Men, and the ending was kind of like a happily ever after. But then it was like, okay, this is like a 1,000,000 book series, so it couldn't have been like that happily ever after, and now we have to see what's gonna happen. Hey, just jumping in here, I actually realized after editing that I left out maybe one of the most controversial reviews and picks of March. So we actually, for the other book club that I am a part of, Book Baddies Book Club, we had chosen God of Malice to read, and we all went into it thinking it was going to be like an dark romance, and we were so wrong. I wanted to just jump on and tell you my honest thoughts. 2 of us out of the book club actually DNF'd this book, and we have no intentions of finishing the series. That is for a number of reasons. First of all, it was not an romance. We all were just completely caught off guard. You have to not blame us though, because Glendon was like a very like neutral name. There was really no way to tell. And the synopsis was very vague. It didn't really give us a hint of like who we were dealing with. Anyways, I didn't enjoy the writing. The spice was non-con and in the beginning of the book, and I really just, it didn't sit well for me. I'm not yucking anybody's yum in any way. It's not for me. All of the chapters were spicy. And if you remember my Game Changer review, it's just something that I don't really subscribe to. Again, being a fantasy girly, I really enjoy my world building and my character development. And I feel like we learned so little about these characters, and it was just bam, bam, bam right into the spice and what was going on. And I didn't enjoy it. So I DNF'd it. I know that is an unpopular opinion. A lot of people really love Rina Kent. A lot of people love this book, and a lot of people love this series. And I couldn't get into it. I don't see me trying any of other Rina's series. I'm just going to leave it there. We're not going to continue the series. We're not continuing the book. I was about 60% of the way through and I just couldn't do it anymore. A lot of people were like, why didn't you just push through it? I just had enough. So yeah, sue me. I don't know. Just didn't like it. So that was the DNF of the month. Let me know what you thought in the comments, because I just wasn't getting it. However, one of the characters, Creighton, actually did intrigue me. And I'm like, that is book 3 or 2, I think. And I'm like, wait, do I want to read it? No, just kidding. Isola by Allegra Goodman. This was a Reese's Book Club pick. And I actually picked this up secondhand from the city. It won some awards. I'm pretty sure it was on like a Goodreads award 2024, 2025. I don't know. I heard a lot of good things about the book. So we read it for our Spicy Girls book club, and it did not deliver. For me, it didn't deliver. So it was a flop for me. I did rate it 3 out of 5 stars. This was really the odd one out. Like, this was definitely outside of my comfort zone when it comes to genres. It was like a historical fiction, like stranded on an island, just the roughest life that I've read about. And it's just not my cup of tea. The consensus across the club was that it wasn't really for any of us. We did all kind of rate it low. It was just really slow, a little uninteresting. And then when it was interesting, it was really sad and depressing. I did rate it 1 out of 5 for spice. There was just like mild, like kissing, I think, or insinuations of kissing. I will actually be unhauling this because somebody out there would probably really enjoy this book. My first 5-star of March was 𝖖𝖊𝖉𝖎𝖆 by Sable Sorensen. This is the paperback version. I think I got it on sale from somewhere. I don't remember. However, this did not disappoint. I loved every single minute of this book. The story was so intense. Man, that FMC MMC twist. Whoo! This book was kind of like a slow burn, but I freaking needed that. I love how there was so much time spent on developing the relationships in this book in the way that the world was just explained to us. I literally am counting down the days until Furybound, and can I just tell you how bad it is, like how much I love this book? I am ordering Furybound in hardcover the minute it comes out. It's pre-ordered. My order is already in. Because this one is paperback and it's annotated, like I'm just gonna have to get the hardcover of 𝖖𝖊𝖉𝖎𝖆 so that the set can match. Logically, that makes sense, right? You can't have one paperback and one hardcover. That is just non-negotiable. I thought I was gonna be able to like wait for the paperback, but no, not at all. So 5 out of 5 is gonna make it a top for me, and I actually gave it 4 out of 5 for spice. There was a lot going on in this book. The moment that we've been waiting for. Remember how I said we had 2 5-stars for the month? This one was the second 5-star of the month. How lucky am I to have 2 5-stars in 1 month? I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I am so grateful for it. And that book was Throne of the Fallen by Kerri Maniscalco. This was about a woman and somebody named Prince Envy, and they have to work together to kind of get to the same ending, to find the same things and get to the same end goal. And of course, while on their journey getting from A to B, things start to happen, feelings start to be felt. And holy moly, 5 stars, 5 out of 5 stars from me. I loved this book. The humor, it hit just in the right spots. Their spice was fun and exciting. The characters were so unique and exciting. And I just loved this book so much. I am now a big fan of Kerri Maniscalco. I do have book 2 on my TBR for April, so we are going to immediately continue that series. And I just couldn't be happier. It was spicy and it was dark and it was feral, and I loved every moment of it. It was giving like Possessive Shadow Daddy and Need I Say More. 5 out of 5 stars will make it a top for me, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5 for spice, because it was dark and there was a lot of spice and it happened a lot throughout the book. And a lot of the jokes were filthy jokes, but I've read darker. So not a totally 5 out of 5 spice, but 4.5 out of 5. It was very close. I was only able to read 9 books for March, and that is totally okay. January and February, I read about like 12 or 13, which that is totally crazy. And there's probably a lot of reasons why that happened. And life in March just kind of got really crazy. That's okay. March still outperformed some of the previous months that I've had. We've already completed like 33 out of 90 for our total reading goal, so that is a big achievement. And I feel like finding some March bangers led me into being able to put some highly anticipated reads on my April TBR. My favorite reads of the month were obviously Diary-Bound and Throne of the Fallen. The one that I could have done without was definitely Isola. And if I had to tell you to read any of these books, considering you're here on my channel, I would definitely read Diary-Bound. Like, that one just took me by complete surprise. So if you've not read Diary-Bound, please do. In April, we are reading nothing but series that I'm in the middle of. So make sure that you're gonna subscribe and turn on notifications for that content, because I was actually so stoked to pick those reads and I can't wait to share them with you. If you made it this far in the video, leave a wolf emoji so I know you made it. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye! Let's get into it. Let me just tell you about it.